Have you been wrestling with the idea of God? Is there such a thing as God? Welcome to the Spirit of God. Since the beginning of time, people have wondered, and many cultures had their own versions of God. Today, we'll focus on conceptualizing the idea of God. We'll explore what would one expect from a so-called God. What would be a qualifying criteria to call something God? On following videos, we'll compare and contrast the different gods that are out there, the claims at least, and we'll look at their evidences for their claims as well. So please stay tuned, comment, like, subscribe, and share. Why is that important? Why is that an important question? Why should it matter that there's a God? Well, if there was a creator and you were created by a God, and he had an intended meaning and purpose for your creation, then maybe you'll find your meaning in life through that. If he's not there, or she, or it, then, well, you can create your own meaning. But if it's not, and you had a meaning and a reason for being here, wouldn't it be important to find out? Now, let's define some words first. The theos comes from Greek word God. Now, an example, or atheism is lack of God. Monotheism is belief in one God. Polytheism is belief in multiple gods. And pantheism is when the universe and God are one and the same. Pantheism with the E is when God can separate itself from the universe, but even though it's the same. Deities are non-personal gods, part of the universe and separate from humanity. Now, if you have to think about it, what are the minimum requirements that a deity or a being has to have in order to be called a god? To say the least, a god cannot be lower than any human being in any shape or form. If there's any other being or deity that can do better than the so-called God, it can no longer be called God. Because by definition, a god is the ultimate, the most supreme, kings of kings, top of the top. Now, let's break it down. There are 7 things that a god should have in order to be called a god. Number 1, a god cannot be a created god. Created gods are idols. If we created them, we are their god. And also, this god has to have created everything that exists in the universe now, before, and after. Number 2, a god should be timeless and infinite, not bound by time. It should have existed before the origins of the universe and should exist even after the end of the universe. Number 3, this god should also not be bound by the universe, not space-bound, and be omnipresent, found everywhere. Number 4, a god has to be omnipotent, powerful without limits. It should be able to do anything and everything. Give life, take it away, not bound by the laws of physics. Anything and everything you can think of. Number 5, a god should be omniscient, all-knowing, has foreknowledge from start to finish, past, present, future, intelligent, and have wisdom that is unparalleled. Number 6, this god has to be perfect at all times, never changing or improving or getting worse. And this should also attribute to or work for the virtues, all the virtues you can think of or aspire to be. So in other words, this god should be a standard for morality. Truth, can't be a liar, can't be, on one side of that is not true. Fairness, just, faithfulness, loving, and that is unconditionally, has to be patient, kind, just have all the virtues, humble, merciful, gracious, and it has to be personal, shouldn't lack anything. Number 7, above all, this god should also be self-sufficient. It should not need anything. It shouldn't have created this world or the creatures because it lacks something. For example, it shouldn't have created this world or the humans so that they can love him, or so they can worship him, or praise him. All of these things. All of these, makes him look like, or it, like it needs something. Okay? Now, so have you found such a God yet? If you have not yet, don't give up. But we'll go through the different claims on the next video. If you have any questions, or if you can think of any other criteria, please leave a comment on the section below. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you so much.